Max Verstappen ended Hamilton's reign, and on that other day he stole first place from Charles Leclerc at the last minute.
It's wheel to wheel with Charles Leclerc and Verstappen!
These are the moments when Max Verstappen humbled his opponents, starting with that race where he started almost last and finished in first place.
I was so incredibly happy with today. I mean, honestly crazy. I never expected to go from P17 to P1.
In the 2024 Sao Paulo Grand Prix, Max Verstappen delivered one of the most incredible performances in the history of Formula One. Right from the start, it seemed like everything was working against him. Qualifying was a chaos, with heavy rain, red flags everywhere, and in the end, Max ended up with only the 12th fastest time. To make matters worse, he received a 5-place penalty for changing engine components, which meant he had to start from 17th on Sunday. But at the start, it seemed like he had rockets in his car. In just one lap, he managed to gain 6 positions. But he didn't stop there. With the wet track and several drivers sliding, Max climbed up the ranks at an incredible pace, as if the rain had no effect on him whatsoever. And in just a few laps, he was already in 6th place.
It's the Spanish Grand Prix, and there won't be a contest there. Another position gained.
But with the rain getting worse by the second, the race was becoming extremely difficult. But the big turning point came with a safety car after an incident with Nico Hülkenberg. While many went to the pits to change tyres, Max stayed out on track, and that decision changed everything. He jumped to 2nd place just behind Esteban Ocon. Soon after, an accident involving Franco Colapinto brought out the red flag, allowing Max to change tyres without losing his position. And then, my friend, it was just a matter of time. At the restart, he glued himself to Ocon, as if they were in attack mode. Then on lap 43, the big moment arrived.
For George Russell, but a better one for Max Verstappen, who finds himself taking the lead as Lando Norris has gone off the road. The championship pendulum swings in one corner as Verstappen goes from 17th on the grid to the lead in Brazil.
From there on, it was pure spectacle. Max pulled out almost a 20-second lead and still set the fastest lap of the race. In the end, he crossed the finish line in first place with style and a performance deserving of applause.
It's been a long time coming, mate, but boy, was that worth the wait. You are the man.
That is right up there with one of the greatest performances he has had in his illustrious career. He is now staring at a 4th World Championship.
But few overtakes can be as humiliating as the one he made, which even won an award. During the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix, Max was driving for Toro Rosso at the challenging Spa-Francorchamps circuit. At the time, he was only 17 years old and a rookie in the category, but that didn't stop him from humiliating Felipe Nasser. At the feared Blanchimont corner, which is one of the fastest and most dangerous in Formula One, Max dived to the outside and did this.
He gets onto the curb, but he's still hanging on in there as Max Verstappen. Under braking, he's got the inside line to the bus stop chicane. It's bold, it's brave, it's beautiful from Max Verstappen.
The move was extremely daring and even risky, but the moment was so incredible that it ended up winning the award for Best Overtake of the Year. But nothing compares to the day when Verstappen humiliated Daniel Kvyat and fought with a champion all in the same race. On another day, Max made history by proving that not even the rain can stop him. Everyone knows that driving well in the rain is extremely difficult, but doing that at Interlagos is almost an impossible task. And to make things worse, during the Brazilian Grand Prix, the race started in chaos, with Red Bull making a huge mistake in their strategy by using intermediate tyres. As a result, Max dropped to 17th place, with only 14 laps left in the race. At this point, any driver would be happy if they managed to reach the points zone, but not Max Verstappen. Instead of accepting defeat, he gave his all, finding grip where everyone else was just sliding. Little by little, he overtook car after car with incredible ease, almost as if he were in a video game.
The boy just goes and finds grip everywhere else. Okay, you're going there, I'll just go somewhere else then and see how it is out.
And in the end, he crossed the finish line in 3rd place. But nothing is more humiliating than what Max Verstappen did to Daniel Ricciardo. In the 2017 Chinese Grand Prix, Max had a problem with his car during qualifying and ended up having to start from 16th. But he didn't stay in that position for long. By the end of the first lap, Max was already in 7th place. And shortly after, he was fighting for the podium. And as incredible as that was, what stood out the most that day was the frustration he made his teammate experience. This was because Daniel Ricciardo refused to be overtaken by Verstappen and fought for the position with everything he had. But it was no use. Max defended the position like no one else, and in the end, not only held off Ricciardo, but made it clear who the leader of Red Bull was.
Verstappen 3rd, Ricciardo 4th, and Kimi Raikkonen comes home to take 5th place just ahead.
But few opponents were as humiliated by Max as Lewis Hamilton, who had his reign stolen in this race. But before that, let's see how Max Verstappen humiliated Daniel Kvyat, who was his teammate. Like Max, Daniel also made his Formula One debut driving for Toro Rosso, and his talent earned him a promotion to Red Bull's main team. But in 2016, things started going very wrong for the driver, who in addition to being involved in several accidents, could no longer fight for podiums. So midway through the season, Daniel was demoted and Max Verstappen took his place. And in his very first race for Red Bull at the Spanish Grand Prix, the driver managed to do something insane. In the first lap, the Mercedes cars of Hamilton and Rosberg collided, and as a result, both had to retire from the race. And with the biggest names in the race out, Verstappen had a real chance to fight for the podium. But he didn't just want the podium, Max wanted to win. And for that, he had to fight throughout the race with Kimi Raikkonen's Ferrari. But not even the many years of experience of the driver were enough to stop Max. The young driver simply dominated the race, keeping his composure, handling the pressure, and crossing the finish line in first place. That was Max's first win, and the most incredible part is that he was only 18 years old. This made him the youngest driver to ever win a Formula One race. But it's not only in chaotic races that Verstappen humiliates his opponents. What he did at the 2018 United States Grand Prix was simply unbelievable. He started way back in 18th place, and it seemed like it would just be another recovery race until the show began. Max was overtaking one by one with ease, and in just 7 laps he had already left half of the drivers behind. In the final laps he had to battle with none other than Lewis Hamilton, who was having an incredible race.
This could be the title right here as Hamilton switches to the inside, and Verstappen just stays ahead as they now go left-handed and gets the inside line himself, but once again Hamilton gets a better exit.
But Max, even with much more worn tyres, didn't give up. He defended every corner as if it were the last, holding off the 7-time champion with unbelievable composure. And even with Hamilton trying everything, Max didn't give up, even an inch. But that wasn't the only time Lewis Hamilton was humiliated by Verstappen. Something much worse happened at the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix. While chaos unfolded with Hamilton, Albon and Gasly engaged in an insane battle for positions, Verstappen was charging forward with clean overtakes. Then the driver needed to make a pit stop, and that's when the humiliation began. Although Red Bull made an incredibly fast pit stop, taking less than 2 seconds, an incident in the pits with Robert Kubica caused Verstappen to lose valuable time, rejoining the track behind Hamilton, but not for long.
Verstappen on the inside tries to get past as well, and now the gloves are really going to come off here, because after the opening spars and jabs, is Verstappen poised to land a knockout blow on Lewis Hamilton. Here goes Verstappen, Lewis tries to cover him off, Verstappen through at turn 1.
At the first chance he got, Verstappen made an insane dive into turn 1 and left the Brit eating dust. But the fight for the position didn't end there. Later, a safety car was deployed due to Valtteri Bottas's retirement, and Red Bull took the opportunity to bring Verstappen into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. Meanwhile, Hamilton stayed out on the track and took the lead. But as soon as he rejoined the race, Verstappen didn't waste any time.
Sebastian Vettel here as Max Verstappen over the hill comes wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. Round the outside of turn 1 he goes. Verstappen's got the restart sorted. That was fantastic. Albon's got ahead.
He went around the outside, overtaking Hamilton masterfully and taking the lead of the race. That's when Hamilton realised his reign in Formula One was nearing its end. But the 7-time champion wasn't the only one to suffer at Verstappen's hands. At the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix, it was Charles Leclerc's turn to be humiliated. That day, Max's car anti-stall system was triggered unexpectedly, causing him to drop from 2nd to 7th place. But with his aggressive driving style, it didn't take long for him to recover. Little by little, he overtook one car after another: Lando Norris, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, and Valtteri Bottas. All of them were left behind. Then it was Charles Leclerc's turn. The thing is, Charles was having a perfect race, holding the lead for 59 laps and on the verge of winning. But with only 2 laps left in the race, this happened. Max Verstappen made an incredibly aggressive move, diving to the inside at turn 3 and taking the lead. The wheels of the car even touched, and the FIA had to investigate the incident to see if Verstappen deserved a penalty. But this investigation only served to highlight what an incredible driver Max is, as the FIA concluded that the move was clean.
6 victories in Formula 1 for Max Verstappen, and this, number 6.
On another day, Max Verstappen won a race with a simple decision. In 2020 at the Silverstone Grand Prix, everyone was betting on an easy win for Mercedes, but what no one knew was that Max would beat Hamilton using intelligence. While most drivers chose to start the race on medium tyres, Verstappen was the only one among the top 10 to start with hard tyres. And it was this decision that won him the race, as one by one all his opponents fell behind. But the best part is what happened right after. In the middle of the race, Red Bull asked Max to maintain distance from the cars ahead, and this was his response.
Max, I think we're a little bit close for tyres at this stage.
Mate, this is the only chance I'm being close to Mercedes. I'm not just sitting behind like a grandma.
Max was truly confident that he could win, which is why he pushed to the max against the Mercedes of Bottas and Hamilton, who were already on worn-out tyres. As a result, after the first round of pit stops, Verstappen overtook Bottas and took the lead.
Well, Bottas has moved over to the inside. He's left a gap, though, for Verstappen to attack, and as they go through Brooklands, it's wheel-to-wheel. Mercedes against Red Bull. Round the outside now at Luffield. Verstappen has got a car length in front, and the inside line for Bottas isn't going to help him there. Verstappen is away and back into the...
To that, Hamilton tried to fight for the lead, but Max didn't give him any space. By simply managing his tyres well and driving a consistent race, he secured the victory.
70th anniversary Grand Prix. Verstappen gives Red Bull the win.
But on that day, not even Max's teammate escaped being humiliated. In the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Sergio Perez managed to take the lead early in the race. But even while trying to maintain a consistent race, just a few laps later, Verstappen was already in his rearview mirror, ready to overtake him. And that wasn't the only time this happened. In the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix, Sergio Perez was completely overshadowed by Verstappen. The thing is, the driver was leading the race, but on lap 49 he received instructions from the team to hand over the lead to Max, which made him furious.
Okay, you want a different strategy to Max? If he's quicker, we let him through.
That's very unfair, but okay.
Yeah, he's heading through now. Yeah, that was the point I was making. You know, as I say, he didn't spin off the track, but Max's tyres are 6 laps younger.
Thank you, mate.
To him, it felt like an injustice, but in the end he gave in and allowed Verstappen to win the race. Not even in qualifying does Verstappen stop humiliating his opponents. During the 2023 Monaco Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso extracted 100% from the new Aston Martin car and managed almost a perfect lap. But Max, even though he wasn't the fastest in the first 2 sectors, simply destroyed the 3rd sector of the track, brushing the car against the guardrail with millimetric precision and securing the pole position over the Spaniard.
It's Max Verstappen who breaks Aston Martin hearts and takes pole position away from Fernando Alonso.
But one of the greatest proofs that Max Verstappen is on a level above other drivers was the 2022 United States Grand Prix. That day, the race started with a huge disaster, caused by none other than Lance Stroll.
That's Fernando Alonso goes off the track. That's a high-speed crash, and he's made contact with Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin.
But what stood out the most in this race was Max's dominance throughout the entire event. After a disastrous pit stop by Red Bull that made him lose the lead, the chance of victory seemed discouraging. But of course, Max didn't give up. He took a deep breath, adjusted the steering wheel, and went for it. Thanks to that, he managed to make several incredible overtakes to recover his position, including this one that defined the race.
Closing in on Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton leading the race. Verstappen goes down the inside. Hamilton sees that coming, tries the switcheroo. Verstappen goes deep, and now they're going to go wheel to wheel. Hamilton tries to go round the outside. Verstappen just runs him out of space, but then there's a drift from the Red Bull, almost giving Hamilton the chance to move back again.
And to top it off, his victory also secured the 2022 Constructors' Championship for Red Bull.
You are world champion. We are world champions. Thank you so much.
But one of the most thrilling comebacks comebacks of Verstappen's career was against Lewis Hamilton. In the 2021 French Grand Prix, after making a mistake at the start and losing the lead right on the first lap, Verstappen found himself forced to change his strategy. While Hamilton tried to maintain the lead with just one pit stop, Max decided to make 2 stops, and what happened afterward showed just how brilliant that decision was. With each lap, Hamilton got slower and Max sped away. And when it came to the penultimate lap, Verstappen was already right behind Hamilton until this happened.
Taken that lead? Yes, they have. Max Verstappen goes past Lewis Hamilton, and for the second time in this race, and he wins the French Grand Prix.
Poor Hamilton could only watch as Max made one of the most beautiful overtakes of his career. But by far the Grand Prix where Max stands out the most is in the Netherlands. And in the 2021 Grand Prix, he didn't just win, he showed everyone why he is the best. From the start, he had an excellent race, but the time to prove his worth came on lap 30, when he was still behind Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas. At no point did he get intimidated. On the contrary, he simply did this.
But look how close Lewis is as well. Valtteri has done a sterling job here to try and hold up Max Verstappen. He's not going to hold him up any longer, because with DRS, there he goes. And you can hear the roar from the Dutch Lions in the grandstands, but you can also see the marvels.
Verstappen simply dived to the inside, leaving his rival completely without reaction. And of course, at that moment, the entire crowd went wild.
Thank you very much, guys. Amazing strategy. We were really sharp today. And nice pushing 72 laps here. I love it. Great job, guys.
And speaking of times when Verstappen humiliated Mercedes drivers, what he did at the 2021 Mexican Grand Prix is unbelievable. That day he started in 3rd and made one of the most dominant race starts of his career. In fact, he performed so well that there wasn't even a fight for the lead. Just look at what he did.
Into turn 1 we go! Verstappen is into the lead, ahead of Hamilton. Bottas gets tagged by Daniel Ricciardo. Perez goes onto the grass, and it's an all sorts of kerfuffle.
He simply overtook both Mercedes cars at once and led comfortably all the way to victory.
He wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. Max Verstappen crosses the line.
But if Verstappen had a great start in Mexico, at the 2018 Russian Grand Prix, his race start was completely disastrous. That day he started in 19th place due to a penalty, but then this happened. In just a few laps, he was already in the top 5. But the most incredible part is that he managed to finish the race 50 seconds ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. His teammate, who was driving the same car and started ahead of him, couldn't keep up with the champion's pace.